What up, YouTube Alayx, coming back at you with another StarCraft 2 cast. On the top right-hand side of the map, we have our blue Terran player, SgtChadHammer. And on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have our red Zerg player, Bingoking. This is a Master versus Diamond level replay, Bingoking being our Master level player, so this should be a very interesting game. Currently, it does look like it's going to be a relatively standard opener from SgtChadHammer. Is going to wall off the ramp, keep away any pesky Zerg puppies that may be running into his base. We do have Bingoking here sending this Overlord Scout out on a bit of a detour to the other side of the map. This is likely to check out if there are any proxies coming from the Terran player. He will not find any. We do have SgtChadHammer running across the map, sending a scout of his own to the Zerg base to see what is up. Interesting choice, lowering this ramp here, or lowering this the supply depot leading to the ramp here. It's not closed off yet anyway, but that is an interesting choice. We do have some gas being mined by the Terran players, so this may be a Reaper opener here. He would not need the gas if he was just building Marines, and we do see that this barracks here is rallied to the other side of the map, and we do see that it is going to be a Reaper coming from our Terran player. It does look like it was a hatchery first for our Zerg player here. I do like the position of this spawning pool. This will force the Reaper to run through the mineral line. If he does come up this side of the base here, he will not be able to get behind the minerals unless he runs around or runs through the mineral line here, risking a surround by the drones and otherwise just having to make a detour. That is a great position, and it fits perfectly behind the gas here. I'm surprised I have never thought about doing that in my own games. So, very strong opener here, I would say, from Bingoking. Does look like he will catch this SCV here trying to spot the hatchery. The Reaper may be able to prevent this, does not prevent this from happening. Just a little too slow in catching that drone and stopping it from placing that third base. So, we do have this factory here attaching itself to a reactor and going for the Hellions. So this is going to be some possible harassment here from our Terran player. We do have the tech lab building on the barracks here. We'll find out what comes out of this barracks, but for the time being, I expect this is going to be a relatively large commit into some Hellion harassment. This Reaper doing its best to be a pesky Reaper here, but ultimately only getting that one kill and then running back home. Will likely use this for scouting for the most part. I don't think this Reaper is going to get much accomplished at this point. There are a lot of queens here. This queen hanging out in the middle of the mineral line. Let's see if he can accomplish anything here. And it does look like this Reaper is mostly here as a scout. Looks like he may get taken out here, and does. Explodes mid-stride, trying to run away. What a gruesome death from that poor Reaper. Oh no. Did get a little bit of harassment here, throwing that grenade and displacing some of these drones, but ultimately not that big of a deal. We do have what looks like 7? Is that 7? I can't tell, they're moving too fast. Maybe it's actually just 6. It is 6. 6 Hellions going to try and do some damage here. They will run to the mineral line here and will catch 2 drones, 2 unlucky drones that were just born. Interesting, leaving the Hellions behind to get destroyed. These poor Hellions abandoned by SgtChadHammer. What a Chad move. I don't know if that was on purpose. It may have been to try and get these queens out of position so they could do some harassment here. In the natural, they ultimately will go down. Let's see how many workers they destroyed. 6 Reapers traded, or sorry, 6 Hellions traded for 11 workers. Could be worse, could be better. As we can see, Terran down to an army supply of 8 versus 18, so that may have been a slight misjudgment from SgtChadHammer here. These queens keeping an eye on the possible, well, sorry, on these 2 positions of the 3rd and the 4th base. I like the position here of these queens. If there's any sort of Reaper or Hellion harassment, they will have to go either through the middle, or a better position would be going through the left side of the ramp or the right side of the ramp. So there are ways that Terran could harass our Zerg player here without having to run into these queens, but it does protect these ramps at the very least. So I want to say Zerg is in a stronger position here. Still happily droning up. We do see 47 workers to 48, so they are relatively close in the worker count here. It does look like the 3rd base is going to go down for our Terran player here. Closing up this wall with some supply depots. These may be vulnerable to banelings, but lucky for SgtChadHammer, there are no banelings out on the field just yet. But we do have that baneling nest, so we may be able to expect a baneling bust here from some of these Zerglings, which may turn into some banelings here. It looks like right now they are just scouting around the outskirts of the Terran base. I do like the use of this Viking, though, patrolling around. This actually will give the Viking good map control and some possible kills on some straggling overlords. It does have 2 kills already. And we do see the banelings being morphed in. We do have this ramp totally opened right now, but they likely will go up once SgtChadHammer moves out his army. I hope he doesn't forget this, because if he does, we will have banelings in the natural and possible main base of our Terran player here, and that would be a very stressful situation. It does look like SgtChadHammer is going to start attacking Bingoking here, our Zerg player. Not wasting a moment, going right into the fray of things. I do like the position of the tanks here, able to support these Marines. It will be difficult. It will be difficult for Bingoking to defend this with the position of these tanks here. Very good pickup. Very good pickup from SgtChadHammer. Almost losing, but still losing a good amount of Marines here to the banelings, despite trying to split. That was an interesting engagement. I don't really know who came out ahead there. I want to say SgtChadHammer is still doing good, but Zerg is going to be able to reinforce this really quickly here. Moving the tanks up, but they may get surrounded by some Zerglings. It does look like the Marines are forced to run back. This hatchery will go down. We still have a decent amount of Marines here, and we do have more Marines patrolling down from the main base of our Terran players. SgtChadHammer living up to his name, throwing down the hurt with that hammer. Oh, very, very big engagement here from Bingoking, though. Those banelings popping on virtually the entire force of Marines from our Terran player. We do have a slight reinforcement, but I'm not sure if this will be enough. It does look like it will be. The Queen's running back, waiting for the reinforcements of those Zerglings. At this point, the pressure is on from SgtChadHammer. Oh man, I was hoping he might be able to get these banelings, hoping for his sake, because these banelings may do some damage. I do like the morphing of the banelings in a staggered position here, keeping them safe. It does look like we have another great pickup from SgtChadHammer, but these banelings dropping in a very good position despite the staggered formation of the Marines. This is an action-packed engagement. These queens doing work, able to heal each other, but ultimately having to run back to cool off a bit and heal each other. These banelings do look like they were canceled. It seems that this natural is in danger here. I'm trying to decide which base Terran's trying to go for. They are engaging with these queens. Another big hit from the banelings. This is a crazy, crazy game. We do have some Hydralisks from our Zerg player, but ultimately not enough. That pressure was just way too strong from our Terran player and was able to overwhelm the Zerg. I did not see that coming, I will be honest. That was just a really strong push. It seems that the Diamond player beat the Master, walked his way to victory with that timing push. And as I said earlier, this part of the base, this left ramp here was just not well defended. We did have the queens that were hanging out in the middle here, keeping an eye on two ramps simultaneously, but leaving this left ramp vulnerable and ultimately putting Terran in a very good position to attack. Those tanks just kept most of the Zerg army at bay and let the Marines do their work and ultimately win SgtChadHammer the game. So, very fun game to watch. If you guys would like me to cast some of your games, I will put my email down in the description and the pinned comment below. And if you feel so inclined, please shoot me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one.